horn has sounded, and that can only mean one thing. That's right. You're back on the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Village Cleaners. I'm your host, Chris Engesser, and today we are joined by Head Coach Josh Kamrass and the team captain, Marshall Bowery. But before we get to those interviews, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Runner Nation this week. Well, first of all, it's this weekend. It's going to be a 3-game header against the Corpus Christi Ice Rays starting Thursday night, 6 p.m. right here at the Nest. Make sure you call 785-286-7825 for more information on tickets. Second game coming in, 7 o'clock puck drop on Friday, also a 7 o'clock puck drop on Saturday. Saturday's the big one. It's Faith and Family Night here at Landon Arena. That's where we invite all the people in local churches and families around town to come on in and have a great time at the game. It's fun, it's faith, it's family right here with the Roadrunners that night. Now, a portion of ticket sales will also be going to benefit Topeka Rescue Mission and all the great work that they do here in the community. Taking a look ahead to next weekend, the Springfield Junior Blues are coming into town for a 2-game set on October 14th and 15th. The big game is 15th, that's right. October 15th is Diabetes Awareness Night, and we're partnering with Stormont Vale to help bring awareness of diabetes and help raise money again for a great cause. Make sure you go to TopekaRoadrunners.com, our Facebook page, or our Twitter page to find out how you can be a part of the action. Let's take a quick look back at the past weekend's action as the Roadrunners and the Bulls got into a fierce battle here at Landon Arena, and boy, if you liked offense, you got all you could handle here at the Nest. We'll pick up in the middle of the first period on Friday night when Matt Barnes responded to a George Mika goal to tie the game at 1 apiece. And then Max Harper, just 2 minutes later, pushed the Roadrunners ahead 2-1. And it looked like it was going to be all Topeka from that point forward, but then the wheels kind of fell off for the home team as Amarillo would go on to post 4 unanswered scores. New arrival Alex Fry was able to tack on a third netter for the Runners in the final period, but it would not be enough as Topeka fell to Amarillo 5-3. Saturday night was a chance for the Runners to turn it all around, and, well, they certainly did that and then some. The Bulls lit the lamp first, but back came the boys as Matt Barnes struck again with a power play goal, making it a tie game heading into the second period. From that point on, the game belonged to the Birds as Marcus Russell, Christian Sanda, Jeff Mikowski, and Alex Fry each split the pipes in the second period to make it a 5-1 game. Peyton Franti would add the capper in the final frame as the Runners ran away with the series finale 6-1. And I sat down with head coach Josh Kamrass just a moment ago, and we talked a little bit about everything that's happened leading up to today and going forward. Coach, thanks for coming back with us here on the Village Cleaners.
Glad to be here again.
No, hey, and congratulations on having that first win. Let's kind of touch on some of the action this weekend. It was really a tale of 2 games against Amarillo. We couldn't find any answers Friday night, but Saturday, Stormback dominated in every facet of the game. What's the X factor with this team in finding that winning gear that we've seen make the Roadrunners such a force at times in this young season?
Well, I think coming back home, we had a lot of emotion on Friday night, and Amarillo's a good hockey team, and they played hard right from the drop of the puck. And our guys weren't really consistent with their effort, and that's something that we've been talking about since the start of the season. So, we went back and watched the tape Saturday morning with the guys and showed them, our systems and where we were deficient and where we were good, and just kind of showed them the 2 different scenarios there. And they did a great job responding. We don't want to be a team who always responds, because that means, the night before something went wrong or didn't go our way. We want to be a consistent team who brings that work ethic every night. So hopefully this weekend we'll take a step towards that, and our guys are focused right from the drop of the puck.
Well, you talked about Amarillo, and they did seem a rather talented team. How much, and you also mentioned they're not wanting to be reactive, but wanting to, impose your will. When you haven't faced a team like, you have in like a year in Amarillo, how do you know how to match up to a team like that, like out of the gate, to, like, say, enforce your will and put them on their heels?
I think early on, you just have to focus on your game and how we perform. Yeah. So that was something that we talked about with the guys. We don't know their systems that well yet. It's too early in the season. They're still learning their systems, we're still learning ours. But that being said, you kind of have their tendencies after game 1, and we know a little bit more about them. So each game we kind of learn a little bit more about our opponent and continue to grow ourselves. So throughout the season, that process is ever going, and something that we try to focus on from game to game.
Now, the special teams unit also had a big night on Saturday night. They kind of struggled at home a little bit going into that game. But do you feel like the guys are starting to really gel in their roles, stay on the penalty kill and the power play?
Yeah, I think our power play and penalty kill, special teams, is something that's really important in today's game. You know, we're always working on that. We're always trying to improve on that. A lot of video there. But I think we could still improve. There's a lot of room to grow on our special teams. But our effort Saturday night was, I think, in my opinion, different than our effort was on Friday night. And that was the X factor in the game, like you mentioned before. It's just something that when the game's going and it's so fast and guys get that emotion level up, you know, they start making decisions that they may not otherwise do in a normal game.
You almost get locked into it, kind of.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that the guys are playing our system, sticking to the process, and not getting ahead of themselves and playing the way that we do. When we do that, you know, Saturday night, the score was great, but that was just, in our opinion as a coaching staff, a result of our guys doing things the right way and sticking to the process.
Now, we've got another big division series coming up this weekend in Corpus Christi, 3 games. And what can you tell us about you know, the brand of hockey that, you know, the Ice Rays are going to be bringing in, and how we should, or how our players at this point match up with them?
Yeah, Corpus, they haven't played since the showcase, so they'll be well rested. I know they spent a lot of time watching some video, and they had the opportunity to pre-scout us from last weekend, and we didn't have that luxury, so we go back 2 weeks to kind of pre-scout their games. So they'll have a lot of change, I believe, within their structure, but they play up-tempo. They play really fast. They're a little bit different from last year's team. They're not as defensive-minded. You know, obviously defense is still very important, but they like to get up and go. They're gonna press us. They're gonna try to be in our face all night, and they skate very well. So I think it's going to be a good matchup this weekend. Corpus, they'll be a tough opponent, and having 3 games in 3 nights is always a challenge for any team.
Now, last question. Being a head coach is a 24/7, 365 type of gig. You know, you're constantly going. What do you do to unplug? You know, how do you kind of, you know, disconnect from all this? What's your relaxation?
I like to cook. I go home and try to make dinner as much as possible. You know, really, it's a fun job. It's something that you have to really enjoy. Otherwise, it'll chew you up and spit you out. And we're fortunate to have a good group around us. You know, our coaching and scouting staff's been awesome. We're on the phone with them a lot. But you know, hockey's a fun game. We get to do something that we grew up since we were the age of 2 years old. We get to continue to do that and help players move on and to the next level. And that's the most rewarding thing. You know, being a coach is seeing the development from day to day and seeing our players grow. And you know, you teach them one thing in practice, you may have to teach them 10 times, but the second you see them do it in a game and it works out for them, you know, there's nothing more rewarding than
Makes it all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's a fun job. It's a grind for sure. You know, you have times when you just have to step away and shut the phone down for a little bit. But
and with you, it's a skillet.
Yeah, I like to cook. I like to golf. It's getting a little bit colder here, so probably not as much golf anymore. But you know, cooking and it's pretty much it. Cooking and golf, I would say, is how I.
I mean, at least you get, you know, a little bit of reward for the cooking as well.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, enough of the questions for me. Now let's get some questions from you, the fans. It's time for the Village Cleaners Fan Forum. Our first question is from Pam Pierce, who you may know. She asks on Facebook, Coach Kamrass, what is it like day-to-day to coach in this league?
Day-to-day coaching in this league is pretty tough. You know, the teams are very talented. It's a very deep league, so on any given night, any team can win. So we got to make sure every day our teams are showing up, working hard, and you know, having fun. That's the most important thing, and making sure you're engaging your players and communicating with them, and also reading when they're tired, reading when they're not having as much fun, and making sure you keep them up every day and wanting to be at the rink. That's the biggest challenge.
Our next question is from Abby S., also on Facebook, and she asks, Coach, what do you feel the team's biggest strengths are and weaknesses?
I think right now at this point in the season, area of weakness is, and where we can improve is giving up too many goals in a game. And that's not just the goalie, it's not just the D, it's all 6 guys on the ice working together as a group. So in practice we work to make that better constantly, and it's ever improving. So we're continuing to work on that. I think a strength right now is the group of guys that we have in the locker room. They're very close. They play for each other, and we saw that on Saturday. So we just have to continue that trend and continue to bond and gel in the locker room.
Absolutely. And our final fan forum question tonight is from Richard Kelly from the Cap Journal. He's asking, from a competition standpoint, what impressed you most about your team's effort last Saturday, and how do you replicate it?
Consistency, I think, was the biggest thing that we saw, and hard work and determination. Our guys didn't let off the gas, no matter what the situation was in the game. And to replicate that, we just have to play that way every night. And it's tough to do, and especially day to day. We're here working every single day. And
it's a 60-game season.
60 games throughout the, it's tough. But our group is very, very close. We're a very hard-working group, and they have fun. And I think when guys are having fun and they have their confidence up, good things will happen with this group.
Coach, thanks again for joining us here on the Coach's Corner.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and it's great to hear from the fans, and we look forward to hearing from you guys next week. See you next week for the Coach's Corner.
Our next guest is the newly named captain of the Roadrunners, Marshall Bowery. A second-year player here in Topeka, Marshall has tallied 8 goals and 18 assists, not including 4 points during last year's playoff run. He is a big personality and leader in the locker room, not to mention a fan favorite. Please welcome Marshall Bowery. Marshall, thanks for joining us here on the Coach's Corner.
Thank you for having me back.
Well, hey, first of all, welcome back to Topeka. This is your second year here in the capital city of Kansas. You guys last season made that great charge in the playoffs, wonderful series against Lone Star. Just weren't able to get past the Wichita Falls Wildcats, who were just really strong last year. As a second-year player, you along with the rest of the vets, how does that motivate you coming into this year?
I think it motivates us in understanding how well you have to play during playoffs to actually move on to the next round, and that we have to bring our best effort every single day to get better.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen flashes so far this season of just how potent and just strong this offense can be. A much more aggressive Roadrunner club to this point. Particularly this past Saturday. Now, in your opinion, what does this team have to do to continue that level of play to make it to where you guys are just lighting up the scoreboard every game?
I think it's just pretty much starts off in practice. Everybody comes to the rink focused and prepared to have a good practice. And you know exactly what it is. It's cliche and everything, but everybody says how you practice is how you play, but that actually is how it works. So if we just focus on scoring goals and aggressive offense in practice, then it'll translate to the games.
Now, you yourself, obviously one of the more talented players on the team, and definitely grown in your time here in Topeka. What aspect of your game do you consistently work on the hardest?
I mean, consistently have to work on everything after practice and in practice. Honestly, just love stick handling, shooting the puck, vision on the ice, everything. I think everything can improve, and you need to work on everything every day.
For sure. We were talking about this off camera, you and Max Harper, both from Rochester Hills, Michigan. Were you guys good friends before you came to Topeka?
Oh, yeah. I have actually known him since preschool, so the last 15 years of my life I've been best friends with him. We went to the same middle school. Then high school, we actually separated. There were 3 high schools in Rochester Hills. He went to Rochester High School. I went to Rochester Adams. We played on the same high school hockey team, and then we both tendered with the Topeka Roadrunners and came here, and we love it.
Outstanding. Does it make it easier to be away from home? What a lot of our fans may not know is that you guys got to live with different families and away from your family for much of the year while you're out here in Topeka. But it does make it easier to be away from home, knowing that you have a friend like Max.
Oh, definitely. It's a much easier transition. Coming here and knowing somebody, you can talk to them, you can relate to them, you both experience the same thing, and it's definitely nice to have him here. It was an easy transition with him.
For sure. Now, what's your favorite part of Topeka, playing here?
Favorite part of the Topeka Roadrunners? Definitely is coming here, having a great organization, fan base. It's pretty awesome to play in front of the crowd. And then we also interact great in the community, and it's pretty awesome to do appearances, learn to skate, late skates with the fans and the kids. It's pretty awesome.
Well, enough questions from me. It's time to go to the Village Cleaners Fan Forum to hear from you, the Roadrunner fan out there. What would you like to ask Marshall Bowery? And this one's from Richard Kelly at the Cap Journal. There have been a lot of great Roadrunners with the C on their chest over the years. What does it mean to be captain of this team?
I mean, it's just an honor and a privilege. Last year we had some great captains. I looked up to Cam Strong, Tom Lutz, Tyler Hayes, and JB Baker, and they led by example, so I just try to mimic exactly what they did. and made the transition much easier. And again, it's just a big honor to have it on my chest.
Now we've got a question from @dbuzzy14 on Twitter, who asks, how many times have you hit the post in the past 2 games? Well, that's rude. No. Big fan of yours, by the way.
So he actually plays on the team.
Yeah. Hey, DJ.
Let's see. I've hit the post 3 times in the last 2 games. Pretty upset about it, but happy that the opportunities are coming.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you're hitting the post. You're getting it hit in the right direction, right? Well, hey, Marshall, I really want to thank you for joining us here on the Coach's Corner.
I appreciate it again.
You guys kick some butt against Corpus Christi.
Will do.
Don't forget, Runner fans, you can be a part of the Roadrunners Coach's Corner, brought to you by Village Cleaners, by sending questions in the comment section below or heading over to Facebook and Twitter. We're going to ask the questions to the coaches or the players, and you'll be on and a part of the Roadrunners Coach's Corner. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week.